What's up? All right, the big finale, right? Music Therapy Laz here. What is happening, everybody? Had to start the show off with a laugh because today's Music is Therapy show is all about how music saves lives. And I've said this many times. I think I gotta get a hardline connection to this thing with the Wi-Fi. Hopefully you can see me and let me know if I sound all right. Everyone in the chat, let's see how many people are strolling in here. Sometimes they don't know if I'm going to start on time or not. So we've got 5 people in here so far. Hopefully we build that up to 20 or 30 or more people like usual. Everyone spread the word. This is going to be a great topic about how people's lives. And one in particular, the legendary, there he is. Let's bring him up front here. That's right, the madman himself, Ozzy Osbourne. I've got some life-threatening and life-saving stories to tell you about my experience. Wow, I just noticed that my mic was muted. Okay, I don't know how much of that you guys missed. Probably all of it. I lost some of the stream for some reason, and then when I came back, I don't know what happened. But here we are, the Music is Therapy show. And I'll start back from the top here. Can you guys hear me? Johnny says hello from the cafe as usual on a Sunday morning, right? Mark's gas station greeting me. Perhaps I accidentally hit a button or something. I'm not sure. We've got Roadies, Jam Cave here. We've got Greasy Monkey also in the chat. What's up, Greasy Monkey? Matt Stewart, who we met at the awesome NAMM show this year. This NAMM was probably one of the best NAMMs since the last time I went to NAMM when I got to go inside, which was 2019, but that was my first time. But the 2020 NAMM, I went and I crashed NAMM. And for those who don't know what NAMM is, the National Association of Music Merchants, it's where makers and creators of musical products bring it to the world through this big show in Anaheim called NAMM, right? Bay Area Rich, you know about NAMM. Have you ever been to NAMM? Ben Tom, have you been to NAMM? I hope you have, man. Yeah, hope you're doing well, yeah, that's right, my Eastern European brother. If you guys don't know, Tom Harhai is a Hungarian of descent, I believe, as well, like I am. And let me know if you can hear me all right in the chat here. Do you hear me good? Hopefully. I've got this new mic here. Thank you to my friend. And I got the stand and all that a while ago. This is a really good Gator one. You can actually light this thing. Should I light that thing too? Where's the light? It's kind of difficult to find the light in the darkness here. That's a funny one. But this Gator mic boom is really, really great. And it even has this thing lights up, but it's like too reflective or too bright. What's up, Lars Guitars? Yo, dude. So what I love about the Sunday morning show and therapy shows, I get to talk about more therapy related subjects about music and how music saves lives. And what I was saying before, if it didn't come across because the mic was off or muted, music is a life-saving thing, that's for sure. There are people that would not be alive today if it wasn't for music. And I think our topic of discussion today, Ozzy Osbourne, and how music, did it save his life? I think it did. I think I'm trying to be a little disruptive with that title, but maybe it's not that good. But for sure, music has saved lives, especially Ozzy's life, probably more than one time. And there are other musicians that have said the same thing. I've heard numerous times musicians, directly quoted saying that it saved me, it saved my life. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for music, right? Love the mic stand, yeah, right. How about the blue windshield or whatever you call it? I'm going with the blue. And then everyone's saying hi to each other, of course. Yeah, music saved you too, man, right, Ben Tom? So, right, Tom? So, Tom, I know you're going through quite a bit, right? A lot of anxiety and depression issues that can be related to health issues, right? And that can be tough. And Ozzy most recently spoke about his Ordinary Man collaborations with other musicians. That album, Patient Number 9, that song too. There's so many great collaborations that he said really kept him going during, a really tough time dealing with, do I even want to live through this? The pain and the suffering that comes with some of these issues in life, when it comes to health concerns, especially, right? And health, I consider health, right on. Thank you, man. I consider mental health a part of health too. So it's kind of odd that we separated those things out, in the industry, if you want to call it that, the medical healthcare industry, which is what it's become. Unfortunately, it's an industry. But the bottom line is health, mental health especially, is very important. And we are affected by mental health and emotional issues throughout our life when we're children. Look at a 2-3-year-old having a spasm, right? And they have to learn how to curtail or deal with their emotions, that they can't have that toy that the other kid has right now, right? And then dealing with not just those kinds of challenges, but the social aspect of, like, we're dealing with a lot of social anxiety issues nowadays, especially during this time of social media. Social media is such an effect on the world, right? And has and continues to have and will have, a profound effect on human beings and their behavior with each other and all that. More people are stuck inside, but we have the social media outlet to still connect with each other. Like during the COVID period of time, the pandemic, it was really tough, but we were able to stay connected, and not feel so alone and lost. And so, but then, is it a real connection? Like human connection, physical, real human connection, is beyond this kind of connection that we're having here. And I think this connection is important, but don't ever think this can replace the other one completely. I think it's important that we do this, but yeah. Oh, right on, dude. Yeah. Yeah. You guys want to share a little bit of Bent Tom? He's saying here, personally, I think mental health is the toughest struggle, right? I had to cut a friend off a couple years ago because his schizophrenic, and he was threatening my family and my life. Yeah. I mean, there's this moment I have several links, by the way, in the description. As you know, I usually put a lot of research into these topics in a show like this, and I'm going to try to keep it to an hour. But Ozzy went through quite a bit in his life. There's a really great documentary about him. That's the 9 Lives of Ozzy Osbourne documentaries. Other ones, obviously, and there's Randy Rhoads ones, and many, conspiracy theory related things. I was actually really happy to learn the perspective I now have. I learned a new perspective. I learned to see things a different way when it comes to Sharon Osbourne's, right? Her relationship with Ozzy and everything she went through, with him in life, and you can imagine being married to a guy like Ozzy. Holy mackerel, right? What a tough time that could be. But a beautiful relationship, right? With his son too, yeah, and his daughter. I mean, I think their life together is a very human story, and that's what kind of really propelled me to do this show today. Not just because it's timely, of course. Just a week or so ago, was it, right? Wasn't it just last weekend or just last week that we had the Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath reunion? First time they played together in how long, right? 30 years or more? I don't even know. And the very fact that they did it in Birmingham, where they got their start, a very industrial, working class, blue collar, tough life. The whole sound of heavy metal came from the clanging and the banging of the metals and the sounds of the steel and other industry like that occurred. Like Tony Iommi's story about cutting his fingertips off, was in that industry, working there as a young man or child, practically, right? As we think of it now, right? Nowadays, kids don't grow up till they're like 30 or something, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's that story is inside. That story is indeed in that documentary, and talks quite a bit about that, and how there was something in his eyes. And I've seen this in a few people, in my own life. I've seen it in family and others, where you can see in their eyes there's this dead look in the eyes, like they're not even there. There's like this almost possession of their spirit and body and sense, right? Really scary stuff, right? Makes you want to believe that there really is evil as a thing, you know. Well, if there's good, then there must be, I guess, you know. But these might just be our ways of perceiving our reality, right? But let's see what Bay Area Rich has to say here, and then we'll get into some of the stuff I want to talk about here. Of course, if you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about Ozzy and life-saving music, okay, bring them. Bring those questions and comments. Did music or the lifestyle created also help create a lot of Ozzy's issues? Very good question. I think a lot of these things, in my perspective, I think a lot of these issues that people have growing up stem from their experiences, but probably from a pretty early on point in their life, right? As children, you're living in a, you know, a hard, very difficult life where back strong and mean, and you know, they didn't talk much with their kids and show them love. You know, he mentions in this documentary many other, you know, interviews and whatnot about what a tough upbringing he had. And it was his dad who actually probably propelled him and saved him, because guess what band, okay, this is going to blow your minds, but guess what band made Ozzy say to himself, I want to do that, and said to his dad, I want to do that, I want to be a singer. And his dad bought him a PA system. He then put that PA system, his, you know, he put out a, hey, I want to start a band and I have my own PA in an ad, you know, like you did back then. This is like stuff on paper. They called them newspapers, daily papers, or like, you know, local kind of informational free papers. So people would just hand things out or stick them on a wall somewhere, right? Guess what band? Who can guess in the chat? Who's going to get the prize, the winning prize today? Should I do a giveaway today? I should, right? I'll give away an EVH pick and a couple other things. I'll do a giveaway. No, it's not the Four Tops, Ben Tom. I'll give you guys 10 more seconds to figure it out, and then I'll give you a hint. But Bay Area Rich, ding, 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 you win a pick. And some other stuff. That's right. These guys, the Fab Four, right there, right? Got to take a sip of that coffee. Medium roast Colombian, pre-ground from Starbucks. Best cup of coffee for $7 a bag that you can get. Not DLR, and not the Shirelles. I love it, man. You crack me up, dude. Guar, yeah, right. I think Ozzy started that stuff. I think Ozzy started the whole genre, right? Was it Iommi? It was both. It was them together, right? Tony Iommi, all those guys. I mean, Ward on the drums. This guy was a jazz drummer, but he was, you know, playing this heavy metal stuff. So they started that genre. That they're actually, you know, they've been given monikered, whatever you want to call it, titled as the ones who started it all. And Ozzy had the idea, I think, hey, after watching a horror movie, hey, why don't we do, you know, people love this horror movie genre thing. Why don't we do music that's like horror related? So it's not like they themselves are sadists or something like that, like the Prince of Darkness. All this stuff is just an act, you guys. As a matter of fact, if you didn't know what Ozzy's real name is, do you know what his real name is? Let's look in my very own description here for the information here. Yeah, I'll go right into it. So I talk about the legendary Ozzy Osbourne, born John Michael Osbourne. He grew up in this industrial blue-collar world of Birmingham. I put or Birmingham instead of. Need to do a correction there, Laz. And just recently he sang there with his original band, Black Sabbath, blah, 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 blah. So we go on to there. So one of the things that Ozzy was saved by when it came to music is just, you know, the childhood traumas of life, you know, growing up in this industrial town, being bullied, being a little guy, you know, skinny little dude. See pictures of him when he was a kid, you know, he's a shy guy. And as we've discussed in last week's show about Joe Satriani and how he has found a way to deal with stardom or getting up on stage to do the music he loves, because he loves music, but you know, getting up on stage, not so much. Not something he loves doing. It's rather, you know, traumatic in some ways, right? So the bottom line is that Ozzy had the same way of dealing with it in a sense, or maybe it wasn't like so openly like a chosen way, but he even discusses it this way, that it's like this Jekyll and Hyde like type of personality thing. He himself, when he's sober and he's his normal John Osborne, right? He's this normal guy. They all called him Ozzy since he was a kid, because in his town that was a common thing. You would shorten somebody's name and throw a E on the end of it. So if your name was, Smith, it would be Smithy, or something like that, right? So he became Ozzy, because Osborne, and that stuck with him throughout life. Like my name, Laszlo, Laszlo, actually pronounced properly. It's Laszlo. But good luck getting Americans to say that. Americans. So in high school, growing up in California and then moving to Colorado, and everyone was wondering, why would we move to Colorado from California? Why would you leave California? And I couldn't explain it, and I couldn't wait to get back. And I did. As soon as I was almost 18, I moved right back. But hey, what's up, Steve Gunnerman? Dude, what's up? Yeah, but the thing is, the nickname stuck, and it became kind of like a persona too in itself. Ozzy is not John Osborne. Ozzy is Ozzy Osbourne, and it's his like that Jekyll side of him, or the Mr. Hyde, I mean, side of him, not the Dr. Jekyll side. And for his family and throughout his life, it's been scary at times, but substance abuse and things like that is not an uncommon thing in the working class and even the upper class too. Let's be honest. There's no class that substance abuse isn't partaken. Even in the old times of the Egyptians, what do you think that blue flower that they always have in the background, what that thing's all about? It was some kind of a I don't want to say it's not. God, what is that flower? Does somebody know? Yeah, we can start over for you, man. No problem. My buddy, my music-in-law, Ryan Hall. That's right. uh, they changed this to John in the U.S. from Fedor. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's funny how they'll change names, right? My grandparents changed their last name, the spelling, from Toshaki, from Tosaki to Tosaky. I don't know why they put the Y on instead of putting an H on the S end of the S, so people would pronounce their name properly. Because if you pronounce it Toshaki in Hungarian, it's spelled with an S. Anyway, so I digress. Back to the show. So Ozzy's gone through quite a bit, but the substance abuse, the drinking, whatever was available, back then, it was alcohol mostly that was available. Now there's so many drugs that you can figure out online how to make anything, right, and grow anything. Bottom line is that back then it was the drinking, and if you've ever seen a blackout drunk person, man, that can be a scary thing. And I don't know if you've ever gotten into a bar fight. I've almost gotten into one fight at a like a party one time. Some dudes jumped to me out in front of this party, and I got away. Thank goodness I know a little bit of martial arts, and I was able to pull their fingers off, like not off their hands, but grab their finger and twist and then push him down and push him. And I had these three guys were trying to get me, and I pushed them down. At least the one main guy who grabbed me. I think there's always the one bully, right? You just take the big guy down, and that usually will solve the problem. But it wasn't. I wasn't standing around to fight more. I got out of there real quick, because you never know. One could have a knife or a gun, or they could just get really stupid mean because they're drunk. And so when you see a blackout drunk person, don't think this is a situation that could end well. It's usually going to end really badly. Right on. So yeah. Oh God, yeah. Google Ukrainian or Russian drunk, right? Well, vodka is a real bad way. Yeah, poverty, right? And that's what it is. So we're talking about what was the early life environment around Ozzy. It wasn't an easy environment. And so he knew, and even his father, he said to him that either one day you're going to end up in jail or you're going to end up doing something really special. And thank goodness for the rest of the world and himself, Ozzy ended up doing something special. and he became, this other character, Ozzy Osbourne, known to the world. And Sharon, I think, had a really good influence on him. I think Sharon gets a bad rap. I think, she was a business person. She could have done some things differently. Maybe the business side of things wasn't all her say either. But the bottom line is that, she learned from her dad, who was a pretty ruthless type of, music industry business dude. If people look into the history there, right? Yeah, right. I am the machine with a bottle of vodka in one hand. Oh my God. Yeah, but for sure, Sharon was a very strong influence on Ozzy, and I think a very good one, because I think it centered him. He got a family. He was able to build a real family with her, and many times she, almost left him, um, out of fear. Really, because there was that one time when what was she saw that he wanted to kill her, and he says that we've decided that it's time for you to go, and then lunged at her to try to kill her. And that was another turning point where, it had to change. Things had to change. And one of the things that you'll find throughout this show, and then looking into it through the description links, is that the music is really what centered Ozzy and brought him back. Everything else was, in the scene, on the scene, around it. It was around him. It was there. It was going to be there one way or another, whether it was rock and roll or working a crappy job in some steel mill and drinking yourself to sleep every night. One way or another, the music is the thing that probably kept him alive and kept him going, especially during, the later years when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, a form of Parkinson's. And that's really, you can see how it's taken a toll on him. At first, a doctor said that he might have some kind of form of MS, like a little bit of MS, is what he said. He's like, "What do you mean? That's like saying you're a little bit pregnant. Either you are, or you're not. Either you have this thing or you don't." And that was the early times. They're still trying to figure out stuff like MS, and so, Parkinson's was a certain really rare form of Parkinson's, is what he was diagnosed with, and he talks about how tough it was. Like he says, the challenges that came with this disease and the diagnosis, right? That working with and making, working with musicians, making the music, especially during the recent albums like Ordinary Man, quoting here, has been a vital part of his life, helping him cope with his Parkinson's disease diagnosis and the challenges that came with that, right? And then you have that 14-hour long, I think it was about 14 hours long, the Back to the Beginning Black Sabbath concert show event. It was like his retirement event, right? It was like a big retirement party for Ozzy, though. He says, just like he has in previous retirements and retiring tours, that I'll be back. I'll be back. Yeah. Yeah. So he announced, shortly after the show, if not during the show, at one point, that he's not done. He may not tour with Sabbath again. Obviously, that was that one last deal there, and they could have probably sold out an even bigger venue than that place, of course. But they wanted to do it in Birmingham, where they started, right? And the thing is that his collaborations and working with people like Jeff Beck before he passed away, my God, I would have put Beck together with Ozzy. But then again, Ozzy's music, in the early days when they were first developing, they even said that he was really good at singing the blues, and he really had very, intense blues knowledge. He was really into the blues. So, back in the 60s, that was probably one of the coolest forms of music outside of rock and roll and pop music and Elvis and all that kind of stuff, and then the Beatles. But you got to remember, Black Sabbath started really early on. Let's see, how long ago? When did Black Sabbath start? 1968. Look at that. The year before the year of love here in the Bay Area, right? 1968, Black Sabbath formed. So, originally with Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, of course, and Bill Ward. Yep, the Fab Metal Four. So yeah, there's an interesting history to this. Hey, what's up, Blackjack Guitar? Welcome to the chat, dude. Let's see who else might have joined the chat here. We've got a little drop off of viewers here. We had about 15 or 16 at one point. Now we're down to 9. What happened to you guys? Come back. Anyway, so Ozzy, I think his experience with music, as he said, it saved his life. After Black Sabbath fired him because of his substance abuse and just, they couldn't deal with his behavior and maybe just interfering with the music creation and all that stuff, and maybe, making things happen. Oh, you're lurking. Okay. What's up, Charles? Hey, I hope, by the way, Charles, I think you're out in that area, right? Flood zone. By the way, please subscribe to my show and Charles's show. I noticed that you didn't do a show the other week, probably because of that, right? Hey, what's up, Cushman? Thanks for popping in, man. Bottom line is this month, July, and next month, August, any money that I make on this channel by PayPal, I'm going to give at least 10%, if not more, maybe all of it, to flood relief, for people suffering from the floods over there. When my mom worked in the Red Cross, and she always has been a volunteer and an advocate of the poor and helping people. And even when she was poor, she did that because sometimes, togetherness in that sense helps too, right? Yeah, still rain and some flash flooding, right? Yeah, sucks. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be really, really helpful. Yeah, 750 million. That'll help. That'll help quite a bit because it's gonna take billions to recover from that kind of thing, right? Just like the LA fires were a really bad thing. And by the way, I'm really sorry to see some people out there getting political about this thing. It really is sad, especially when it comes to nonprofit organizations. They should always be, in my mind, those organizations, the ones I support are apolitical or non-political, right? And it's about helping each other because we're all humans, right? And I think that's the thing that connected Ozzy to so many people. I think Ozzy's music and his life and everything he went through, all these trials and tribulations of life with Sharon, his family, and the kids, and then the Osbourne show, right? What a crazy show. I've only watched like a dozen, I don't even know how many episodes, but it's just so bizarre watching Ozzy and his life and the way they created that show is just hilarious in ways, but sad too at times, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, but hey, there are other people that don't have nearly as much, and here they are with pretty much all the resources possibly, but that can't just fix things. And people think money can fix things, and it doesn't necessarily. It can help, definitely get help with services and stuff like that, but as you can see in his life too, without proper action, without good actions, the money isn't going to do any good. It can be wasted or useless, and just wasted. So like what Tom's saying here, yeah, she sends every month to a woman in Ukraine as a personal way of helping someone, right? There you go, man. Right on. So everyone that's in the chat here, you can help too. Believe it or not, you can make a huge difference in somebody's life, right? People's lives, and these things matter. They really, really do. You matter, they matter, we all matter. And helping each other out is the most important thing. So when it comes to the floods going on in Texas, if you can help out, help out. It doesn't have to be much. Instead of buying a Starbucks, buy a bag of Starbucks, brew it yourself, and then save 10, 20 bucks a month and send that to people in Ukraine or to the flood victims or the fire victims or wherever you find the charity that you want to support it. I also support like the Wounded Warrior Project and Guitars for Vets, and several others. I've been supporting Doctors Without Borders, for long time. That's one of my favorite charities to give to. And of course, the Red Cross, I give blood and platelets. So there's so many ways you can give. If you don't have money, give blood. I wish I had that kind of a sound. The only one I have is the one that Janice loves. That's how she feels when they want to take her blood, right? Anyway. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. There you go. And sometimes direct, PayPaling it or sending it direct is a better way for people to get, what they need. And there might be even organizations that what you're talking about, Tom. If there's like some organization that helps you get the money directly to people, there must be apps and things like that are out there, right? So back to the Ozzy story though. But so Ozzy's life was saved by music from the get-go, right? It gave him a purpose and gave him something meaningful to be part of. And the substance abuse and all that stuff, I think probably being in that environment, it's not easy to be in that environment, a party, because you're creating the party, right? And you're the party. And being in that environment is not going to be the best place for you, right? A lot of times they say if you have problems with something like substance abuse, whatnot, get out of the environment, change, don't be around those friends that are doing that around you. In my family, we've had these substance abuse issues, and we try to, whenever we're getting together with someone who has that issue, we don't drink either. So we all don't drink, right? That's what you do. So to make it easier for them and help them, because it's not something that they necessarily control. A lot of our behavior and emotional related and mental health related issues and behaviors are out of our control to some degree. We can control it, but that doesn't mean it like, you can just say, oh, just don't do drugs, just say no. Yeah, it doesn't work that way, Nancy. Sorry. Anyway, but maybe having services put in place to help those people might be a good way to help them say no. Give them a reason to say no, right? Have something else, like what Ozzy found in music, at least when he was able to do music that made a difference for him. And so after he got fired from Black Sabbath, then he was going down. He was spiraling downward even worse, and at that time, he and Sharon were just, working relationship of some sorts, right? And he had a thing for her, and he proposed to her many, many times. But she knew that, hey, look, this guy, he's got talent, and look, you gotta pull it together, man. And she was the one who really said, hey, no, you got to start a band of your own. And then they went out looking for players and people, and Bob Daisley, who played bass and wrote many of the songs and did keyboard work with them, right? He wrote pretty much all the stuff, all the lyrics, pretty much all the way through the first couple three albums, if not more. He did many hit songs of theirs. He's unfortunately somewhat unknown. I didn't even really know about him because they didn't give him credits on the albums. I always saw Rudy Sarzo as the bassist. I had no idea. I didn't know, even though he probably was the bassist who played at not the Diary of the Madman show, because I saw that one with Rhodes, but with I keep wanting to say Brandon Lee. It's Jakey Lee. That's an inside joke. Jakey Lee, was like, he even says, hey, I was just this local bar, heavy metal shredding ripper of a player, but if it wasn't for Ozzy and Sharon, he probably wouldn't have gone further than he did either, maybe. He's a very humble guy, never was looking for the limelight per se, but man, can that guy play too, right? Jake. Yeah. So the bottom line is that Ozzy was saved again by music and by his relationship and friendship with Randy Rhoads. He speaks quite a bit about his close relationship with Randy and creating music with Randy, and how important it was, and how Randy basically, probably raised him from the grave in a sense, lifted him out of a downward spiral at that time in the early 80s, right? And so that band was created. Ozzy's, the Ozzy Osbourne band originally was going to be called Blizzard of Oz, was going to be the band, but it became Ozzy Osbourne, and the first album was Blizzard of Oz, unbeknownst to the group members, by the way, which wasn't cool, but it is how that industry works, Yeah. Hey, have a great Sunday, everyone. Yeah, gotta go. All right, right on, dude. Thank you for joining. Looking forward to hanging with you. When we doing this this backyard barbecue thing? Let's make that happen. Give me a call. All right. And then we've got Ryan saying hi to Rich, or goodbye to Rich. Bye. B-U-Y to Rich. That's an inside joke too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you're hanging in there, Ryan. I know you're going through a lot. By the way, Ryan, if you guys haven't checked out Ryan Hall's YouTube channel, go check him out, man. He's so fun to watch him sing and play the guitar and stuff. It's just so fun. Yeah, 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 man. Keep up the good fight, indeed. So, Randy in many ways saved Ozzy's life. So that was one of the 9 lives in the 9 lives of Ozzy documentary that goes into his whole life. Oh, do I have power saver on? I better plug this thing in. That's why I bought this cable. Brought it. Plug it into this thing. There we go. Yeah, saved by cable. So performance mode is optimized. So Ozzy had many moments in his life where he thought it was going to be over, and after Randy died, that was one of those moments. And again, it was music that really kind of saved him, because Sharon talks about this in an interview that's also in the description there, where if it wasn't for music, he who knows what he might have done to himself or what might have happened, right? So she got him right back up on stage because she knew that he needed to be up there, because that'll be the one thing that saves him. It's always been the thing that saves him, and it's true. So sometimes people get down on on Sharon and talk about her being about the money and this that, and that she was pushing Ozzy every time back out on stage for more money. And I have a new perspective, because these conspiracy theories and these kind of attitudes, they can spread, and you can gain a wrong perspective about a person. And if you see, check out some of that stuff, some of those links in the description after the show, definitely watch them. You can see how she really loved the man and didn't want to be without him, and loved his craziness and fun, how he was, when he wasn't drunk, especially, when he was his normal self. Um, but she knew that if it wasn't, even though there was all the trip ups, all the possible negatives that can come with the music side and the industry and the party side of it, the infidelity, all these things that went on, that she knew was happening. If it wasn't for the music, he would be gone, and something would happen. And so she had to put him out on that stage, because she knew that's what has to be done. That's what's going to save him. He was going nuts when they moved back to England, and they were living with the family and happy for a while. But Ozzy started to get a little bit, starting to go stir crazy, because there was that side of him that needed to be involved in music, and he couldn't handle just the ordinary life. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't feel comfortable, And yeah, right, Cushman, ants, and he had to get some more ants in his system. I saw that show too. That was the one that he talks about. The craziest tour was the one with Motley Crue, and I saw that with Jake. Motley Crue opened for them at the McNichols Arena in Denver, where I saw that show, and man, was that a great show! Holy crap! Dang, wow! Motley brought it. Motley Crue brought it. I mean, they killed that night too. But then you get Ozzy, and yeah, good luck. Ozzy still, with Jake. Holy moly, they killed it. And I think that was the show when Bob Daisley was playing bass, I believe. From what I didn't know, because I didn't know who he was, but I believe that was the case. Yeah, so everyone's saying hi to each other. Just say no to ants. Exactly. I got this at a local store here. They sell things like that. Anyway, but indeed, so got another 15 minutes or so. So going on into later years, Ozzy then had all the substance abuse issues were definitely there, but then he had, the diagnosis later in life regarding. They noticed his walking and his gait, how he walks, was something was up, and the kids were like, something going on with the way he's walking. There's something wrong here. So they finally got some experts, in the Beverly Hills, the doctors out there, and they checked them out, and then one of them said that, yeah, I think you got some kind of MS, maybe a little bit of MS, and then later diagnoses that no, it's actually some weird rare form, because there's different levels, just like in autism there's these spectrums of these kinds of diseases, and in Parkinson's he has a rare kind of form of Parkinson's. And as you saw at the concert, he was not able to stand for the most of it, right? He had to be taken out there on his the Oz throne, as I call it, which is really cool, man. I mean, I had to take that picture. I took that picture out of many different photos and videos of the show. That was one where it shows him smiling, and he's like this, and he's like, you see that smile on his face, and it's what an endearing, Ozzy endearing. Does that go together? Yes, it does. To me, it does. So he gets this diagnosis, and then everything that comes along with it, all the pain and all the suffering of it. I had another friend of mine, this guy Glenn, that I met living out in Cincinnati for a little while, and he had Parkinson's, and it was, you could see the strain it put on their entire family, the household, because inside of him, you see on his face, there's this happy-go-lucky guy who just wants to get up and go, but he's like, that's how slow he would move and stuff, and it was terrible. But I actually got him to. They had some tickets to a concert, a classical piece, a brother and a sister duo with the orchestra there in Cincinnati. It was a pretty decent orchestra, and I forget their names. I'm trying to remember, but anyway, they're a sister and brother duo that she plays cello, I think, and he plays violin. And then they did some pieces like that, and they were amazing. And Glenn had these tickets, but his wife didn't want to go, and he's like, "Hey, could you take me?" Pardon me. And I'm like, "Are you kidding? Of course, let's go." So we tried to get there as early as we could, because I knew he was going to be really slow getting to where, and we were pretty close. We were up on the orchestra level, like maybe about 7 or 8 seats line, rows back. So we were right there. It was amazing to catch a show like that right there. And just the joy that man had, Glenn had, for music too. And I could see, like in Ozzy, it's the same thing. You see the joy and the happiness. I mean, he was crying at the end of the show when he was saying goodbye to everyone. I mean, when they did Coming Home, Mama, I'm Coming Home song. I mean, that's all about him coming home, to Sharon in a way, and to home to his children, when he did and when he could. And she says it's her favorite song, of course, because it's so touching. Yeah, he had, and then there was that's right, Blackjack Guitar, right? Then there was the ATV accident. Yeah. So that's when he got really injured, had to have, all kinds of surgeries, right? I don't know. Let's look at the details of that. Ozzy Osbourne's ATV accident. Yeah. Let's see. In Ultimate Rock, they talk about, yeah, when Ozzy Osbourne nearly died, right? He did what? Were the questions. These words or others along these lines have frequently echoed across the annals of rock and roll history, but rarely louder than the time Ozzy decided that jumping behind the wheel of an all-terrain vehicle seemed like a good idea. That's essentially what has transpired on December 8th in 2003. I guess they reported that the 55-year-old at that time legend embarked on what he thought was going to be a casual joyride across the grounds of his lavish estate on the outskirts of London. Unfortunately, Osborne's son Jack told reporters at the time Osborne soon found himself in a London hospital undergoing emergency surgery to dress a broken collarbone, 8 fractured ribs that were pinching crucial blood vessels, ouch, and a damaged vertebra in his neck. Thankfully, the capable emergency surgical team at the Wexham Park Hospital in Slough, west of London, successfully patched up and stabilized Osborne. Right. If anything good came out of this episode, it was his and his family's realization that the aggressive regimen of prescription drugs that Osborne had been placed on to alleviate anxiety over wife Sharon's cancer diagnosis. That's right. She was diagnosed. And that's another thing, too, her cancer diagnosis was putting him, into a spiral of doom and gloom, was partly to blame not only for the ATV accident, but also for the singer's general stupor. Famously captured on the family's popular reality show, The Osbournes. That's why they always be, talking silly and whatnot. Probably had a lot to do with those drugs in his system. So some of the metal rods that were placed in the back as a result of this accident were dislodged in 2019 when he suffered a fall in his house. So, number of falls and whatnot. And then there was the recuperation there that caused him to postpone his entire tour calendar for the year. And then COVID happened in 2020, right? The irony of this is that it wasn't decades of alcohol and illegal drug abuse that almost did in the Prince of Darkness, as they would refer to him. It was an irresponsible dosage of legal drugs and four-wheel contraptions. Well, how many other people from Prince to, Tom Petty and others who have died because of, incorrectly prescribed pain medications, right? So this isn't an unusual situation in today's, even just regular folk, right? Die from these things. Let's see what you have here. We got Peggy B. Short is in the chat, and then we'll do a giveaway, and then we'll end the show. What do you guys say? Just heard it was written by Lemmy and about returning home to England. Ah, okay. Yeah, that's right. It was written by Lemmy. That's right. Motorhead, Lemmy. You guys know that. By the way, my sister's band, Then Die. Where's the sticker? Got it somewhere around here. My sister's band, Then Die, is going to be playing at the Whiskey in August, I think 3rd. So if you're down in the area, I'm going to go down for that. Yeah. It's on a Sunday. And yeah, I believe. Let me double check that. Is it the 3rd? Is it the 10th? Okay, let me look this up. Hold on. I have to look this up. I've got to look. Oh, I got a message from. Okay, that's not important. Let me just look it up. Then Die. Okay, there we go. I got to follow her on my channel. All right, so let's see. Do they have? Okay, yeah, Sunday, August 3rd. That's right, August 3rd, Sunday. Check it out. They'll be playing at the Whiskey. Why is it flashing? I do not know. Maybe it's made to flash so it looks interesting. Right. Oh, it's a video. Yeah, see? So they're making it flash on purpose. It's like a video. So they're going to be playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood. There they are. Then Die. See that little square there? It says Then Die at the Whiskey. So I'm excited for my sister Monica. She's going to play the Whiskey. Is that cool or what? She fired me from that band too. I could be there playing with her, but I think I'm not cool enough. It's all good. No, it was really, I think they were solidifying their sound, and they're very more thrash metal than I am. I'm not into thrash metal as much. And even though when I went into the few first practices, I think, we were having a good time and it seemed like it was going somewhere. She got together with her boyfriend and he started singing, and it became a band, her and him more. And he's great. I love the guy. And hey, Dan, right on, dude. Nice to see you here, bro. Right on. Dan Gorman, longtime viewer and subscriber and watcher of the shows. And of course, very, very good friend of ours, Johnny Bean. Yeah. They're just having fun, man. I think that's the main thing, is that if you don't have fun doing it, then what's the point, right? And so they're having a great time. And her boyfriend's band, also Project Mayhem, is also on that bill. So really, really awesome that she got together with Todd. He's a great guy, and really glad that she met him, because he's really an awesome dude. Yeah. So back to Ozzy, because we got to end this. I'll go ahead and start the. Let's go ahead and start this StreamYard giveaway tool, right? And just put Ozzy in capitals. That's how we'll do it. We're going to do it that way. We'll get started here. We'll give away some picks. I'm going to try to find something Ozzy related. Okay. For you. So it'll be some Van Halen stuff and, Van Halen pick and some other things. I'll try to find something Ozzy related. Start collecting los comentos. We've already got 5. There we go. Let's present that into the screen. Yeah. And a lot of clicks just to get that to happen. You guys see that? Let me go ahead and zoom in on that a little bit too. Makes a little bit more. There you go. How's that? Better? All right. So we got 6 so far. So just put this in the chat, you guys. Ozzy. And we'll give away a couple little things, some items, and I will send them out. I swear. Yeah, it's a long running joke. I barely have time to do these shows, but they're awesome, so I can't not keep doing them. All right, so back to, let's see what's going on. Back to this. So later in life, Ozzy then reports about how it was really his music and collaborating in the later part of his life, like right now, that has given him hope and kept him going, and makes it possible for him, to go through all the pain, because the pain of life, there's always going to be pain in life, right? If you don't have something that helps you get through it all, then it can be really tough. And music is probably one of the best, forms of treatment, even because there are now medical treatments of music you can actually request from your doctor. So if you have any type of mental or physical pain or any issues like that, don't just think, oh, if I just listen to the radio, that'll make me feel better. It will. You'll listen to your favorite songs, sing along, participate in the music. Definitely makes a difference. But talk to your healthcare, services and providers, and find out, if there are any music therapy related services, or something they can prescribe for you, because believe it or not, that there are ways that it can help you more than just listening or participating. You'll find that it can be a real benefit. They can help you get together with other groups and do things in groups in a way that can help you deal with pain and whatnot. A lot of times people don't want to go hang out in a group and talk about my pain and stuff. Why would I want to do that? But let's say it's a different kind of group related thing where you get together, your insurance pays for it, and you get together and sing and dance and hang out with friends, new friends that you make through music. Connection, right? Burnt Relic. Don't know why I'm entering stuff only arrives when Johnny sends. No, I sent you one, didn't I? Didn't you get mine? The big package I sent you? I sent you the big package. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. So verify, will you please? Because I'm pretty sure I sent you something. Yeah, at least Johnny, I verified that the email, hey, Jeff T, supporter of the show, you guys. What's up, Jeff? Not that all of you are supporting just by watching, right? But if you do support through a PayPal donation, it will definitely be going toward, flood relief, Texas flood relief victims, and helping them deal with the suffering there. Music being one way, too, that you can get through some of these harrowing things, right? Harrowing situations through music. It can calm you and it can make you feel better, but definitely connect you with others. And I think that connection is very important, right? Super important. What is it saying here? Share this. If I share that, I can maybe make $10. So I'll take that $10 and I'll send it to the flood relief that's out there, right? We'll pick something. We'll figure it out which one we'll send it to, right? So yeah, so we're almost at the end of the hour. I'll go a little longer because we were 5 minutes late, so it's almost 11 right now. So anything else on Ozzy, you guys? So who watched parts or all of the Ozzy Back to the Beginning concert? Tell us in the chat, and then don't forget to write this into the chat to be entered in the possible winning of a thing, and I will send it tomorrow on Monday, along with the other ones that I'm supposed to send. Thankfully, I'll have time, believe it or not, unless Johnny plans to stop by here. But you know what? Even if Johnny stops by here on Monday on his way through, I'll probably hit him up to see if he wants to swing by. Even if he does stop by, I'll still have everything packaged up and ready to go before he gets here. Usually gets here around 10:30. So right on. So Cushman watched. Right on. I've watched pieces and parts. Yeah. Blackjack Guitar watched half. I know that Ron Gunners watched a lot of it because he paid for it. I think I might pay for it and view it myself too. I think it would be cool to have that entire show. There were some people out there that some of you guys never even heard of, like that Youngblood guy. I've known about Youngblood because of Nick, previously known as the intern. My friend Nick is into Youngblood, and because he's a millennial kid, so a lot of these people are into some of the newer, like Machine Gun Kelly and these younger rockers, right? And then of course Nuno was killing it. Ron had an interesting perspective about why is he doing all these solos all over the place, and what Nuno's being Nuno, Ron. He's gonna do his thing, and I think the fact that he played on 12 songs, him and Morello, Tommy Morello brought him in and brought along Jake as well, because they understood the significance of it. They should have brought in Bob somehow, but I think that was probably made a well-known thing that no, we're not allowing that because of the lawsuits that are out there, because there's some lawsuits that are unresolved yet, right? But yeah, Nuno was on, right? Yeah, Scott Hawk, you watched it. Dan, you can still watch pieces and parts of it on YouTube. So there's some amazing footage. Yeah. Nuno was shredding it up, right? Yeah. He was on fire, but he's always like that, man. I mean, Nuno, I met him at NAMM, and it was really an interesting experience right after Johnny had met him, and that didn't go well. That's kind of a funny situation that happened, I think. And I kind of, I explained a few things to Johnny about why that probably didn't go well, and maybe you got to approach some of these people in a different way. Keep in mind, he'd been shaking hands and hugging and taking pictures and stuff with, I don't know, 250 plus people. I don't know how many people were in that line at NAMM, but that was the one line I got into outside of the Nita Strauss line that I got into, that I had to meet that rock star and get a photo and get I have it put away. It's not even out. At some point I'm going to probably frame all these things, and put them up. But yeah, thank you very much, Ryan. Hit that like button. And hey, professor of the psychedelic studies, thank you for joining, man. Yeah, a reunited Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Jethro Tull should have been there. They should do that too, right? I mean, my God, 3 amazing bands and music, right? Yeah, for sure. I mean, man, absolutely. And I think Zeppelin definitely took a little bit of that, hard rock blues influence from, bands like them. Of course, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page go way back when it comes to that, right? Yeah. Who is Ozzy? Right. That's a good question. Who is Ozzy? So put in Ozzy into the chat, and you can win something. I'll try to give you guys something Ozzy related, right? And then what else? What was I going to say? Well, anyway, in the description, I have links to a lot of the background on this, what I was talking about here today, where I got my information. Okay. I didn't make it up. None of it. One thing I said that I don't know if it's entirely true, that when Ozzy started the band with Randy and all that Sharon and he were not yet married. I don't think they were married. Let me look that up. When did Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne get married? Yeah, in 82. So July 4th, 1982. They first met in 1970. Wow, when Sharon's father worked for Ozzy's band. Well, he was their main manager guy, right? After the rock star left the band, Sharon became his manager, and they fell in love, marrying on July 4th, 1982, in Hawaii. That's a great place to get married. They have 3 children, Amy, Kelly, and Jack. Yep. So, and that Osbourne show, I think, might have been a really good thing for them, too, as a family, because it probably, kept Ozzy around, even though you see him coming and going in his little RV, everywhere. When doves cry before their heads are bitten off, right? And that's a crazy thing too. I mean, Ozzy was like, they tossed stuff up on the stage. There was one point in the documentary, in the description, you can click on that, the 9 Lives of Ozzy documentary, where Sharon mentions how she was mortified when she saw someone toss something up on the stage and he bit it because he thought they were like rubber chickens. Ozzy's talked about this. He thought they were fake things like rubber chickens and this, that. He didn't know. And then when they found out that it was a real rat, he had to go get a freaking rabies shot. I mean, do you know what a rabies shot's like? Holy mackerel. So not a fun moment in life, you know? So yeah, exactly. It's like Elvis, right? Anyway, so but Ozzy she talks about it too. He was quite the promiscuous man, if you didn't know that about him. Ozzy, he talks about the two greatest things in life. Well, the number one best thing in life is sex, and then it's music. And the music helps you get the sex, so yeah, right. Well, of course, you toss up a rat up on stage or something like. I mean, good thing you didn't eat a rat too. Don, Don Arden, and that's not even their real last name. Did you know that? It's Levi, so that's a stage name too, by the way. Arden. That is not even their real name. So it was a bat, yeah. But they could have tossed anything up on there, and then he would have probably went after it because he didn't think they were real. And keep in mind, Ozzy on stage is out of his freaking mind. Okay, so he is. He's Ozzy Osbourne. Doctor, Jekyll goes into Mr. Hyde. He becomes Ozzy, the Ozzy character, and it was indeed a bat. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't see him chew off any bat heads at any of the shows I went to. Thank God. And when I saw them for the Diary of the Madman tour, that was that tour that we saw. There was a blizzard that they had to get through. We saw it at the CU Event Center in Colorado University. So Colorado University in Boulder. So we drove from the Denver area all the way up there. I don't even remember if it was a weeknight or weekend, but bottom line is we saw that show. And their set, which was his favorite set, the Diary of a Madman set, was that, gothic looking castle like walls, kind of almost like the Stonehenge, that Sabbath did, that they sued. They actually sued. Black Sabbath actually sued the makers of the movie This Is Spinal Tap, because they actually did a Stonehenge kind of a set 2 months before the movie came out. And they said, "Hey, you stole our idea for your movie." And they're like, no, we've been writing about this, good luck in court. You're gonna lose. And they did. So the Stonehenge thing in Spinal Tap was not influenced by Sabbath, but by the genre's kind of connection and the British connection to Stonehenge and the whole. It's so funny, right? And if you ever seen Ozzy's reaction to that whole situation, the Spinal Tap, he thought it was funny as hell. He loved it. He says, but he was the only one in the audience who wasn't laughing because it was real. This is what happened. He's like saying, like, 11, that happened. That was the real thing, all this stuff. He took it with a sense of humor, like everyone else should have too, But some people got rubbed the wrong way because they thought they were being made fun of. That's a part of the heavy metal genre thing that I love, is that it is a little bit, if you can't laugh at this, then come on, man. I mean, are you guys really serious? I mean, nobody's really biting heads off bats because they really want to bite a bat's head. I mean, that was totally accidental. It was not, but then it became a thing. And then the chicken thing and all this other stuff too. I think there was a moment there too, or something like that. They did that to freak out the white collar, blue bloods in the office boardroom there, deciding on what albums should be what. As a matter of fact, I found a picture of the supposed Smell the Glove album of the supposed band Spinal Tap, and it got blocked by Facebook and Instagram for being of sexual, improper sexual content. So for the reason that they, in the movie, they had to do the Black album, right, which was kind of a thing on the White album, the Beatles, right? They were blocked from the production or management from doing the album cover they wanted to, because it was too sexually oriented and whatnot, right? And improper, and I got blocked for using that picture on Instagram and Facebook myself. So there you go. So it is what it is. And I dare not show it now, or should I? Should I end the show with that? Nah, we'll keep it to Ozzy. But you can look it up, find it yourself. Look for "Smell the Glove" album photo or something like that, and you'll find it. Anyway, but yeah, okay, you guys all entered. We got 13 entries. I think that's a pretty good number. Let's go ahead and hit this this thingy. All right, here we go. Let's see who wins. Is Peggy gonna win again? Is Peggy gonna win again? Holly, you can't win twice in a row, so it can't be you. Matt Stewart, all right. My buddy Matt. I'll send you some Hungarian paprika with that, bro. Pantera. Oh, you want to see something Pantera related? You're gonna love this. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. No, I'm not sending this to you as a prize because that would be a little much. All right, hold on. We'll pull you out of there. But congratulations, Matt. Check that out. I got this at Half Price Books and Music store where we bought our first Mahjong game. It's pretty good, huh? Yep. So these are all going to go up on a shelf, by the way, along with Ozzy. And I got a bunch of others that won't fit on the shelf that's up there because that shelf is short. See that shelf right up there of my Funko Pops? Johnny got me started on these Funko. Actually, I think it was Dane Zimmerman. Dane. I said your name 3 times. You have to pop into the chat now. Dane Zimmerman. Where are you, man? Matt wins. There we go. All right, I'll send that out to you tomorrow. I'm going to find something Aussie related, and I'm going to find give you some. Do you like heavies or mediums or lights? What do you like on the picks? This is heavies. These are like no, these are 7.73. I have some 1 mil ones. Tell me what thickness you like to play, and then I'll send you a few other like swag from NAMM. I still have NAMM swag, believe it or not. But all these, these taller box type ones like that, they won't fit on that. So I'm going to do another shelf that goes from here all the way across here. I'll show you that. All right. And that taller shelf is going to give me room to put the taller ones like that. So I actually have it in the backyard right now. That's one of the things I want to get done today when I'm done with the show, is to make that shelf and cover it with the fabric that I have on there. And amongst other things, like making these sound trap guitar hangers for this side that I have over here in my custom acoustic treatments that I make. By the way, if you want one of those made, send me a message on Music Therapy Labs. Here it is. By the way, all this is in the description. labs@gmail.com. And Matt, you don't have to send me your address unless you moved. I know where you live. I think I know where you live. There, a pipe behind that protruding upper wall. A pipe. The upper wall right here. That thing. Yeah, that's actually a curtain rod because I need to put another curtain like this one up there so that I can better soundproof between the entryway there and the rest of the house or apartment, because I don't own a house. I live in an apartment. Thankfully, I manage it, so I'm able to get that written off. I don't have to. A lot of work I have to do, like taking care of stuff. I got to hand out pamphlets today that we're going to be upgrading or breaker boxes over the next month or so. Yeah, know where you want to put the shelf. Oh, so that's basically the ventilation, AC thingy. You know what that is, like that right there. So, yep. So as a matter of fact, Nick, the previously known as the intern Nick, helped me put that ceiling tile stuff in. There's a video on that. It's very funny. I eat some of the material. It's true. All right, so you're taking your ball and you're going home. All right, sorry that you lost, but there will be another chance Thursday night on the Gear and Demo Show where I will continue the Jeff Beck build, and I might even perhaps display that thing. Where'd it go? Oh, it's over here now. Finally going to plug this thing in. If Johnny Bean comes tomorrow, maybe I'll let him play this. but we'll see. All right. Yeah, and then go play some guitar today. That's right. Hey, Dan, play guitar today? Play some guitar. All right. So that's the show, you guys. Thank you very much for coming. If you love or hate Ozzy or whatever, watch the documentary. It'll change your mind about, maybe it'll change your mind a little bit about Sharon, especially if you watch some of those interviews. A lot of people have a negative attitude toward her, like, oh, she's all about the money and just pushing Ozzy to, no, I think it's more the love. There's a lot of love there. And, I think she's gone through a lot living with him. Hey, you're welcome, man. And living with that guy, is probably not an easy thing. And, the bottom line is that what you see in that, if you watch that show, if you watch any of the Back to the Beginning show, there's a lot of love there for Ozzy and for the band and for what they did, bringing music to a different genre to the world and allowing some of us, like they called us in high school, they called us the freaks because we look like this. Hold on, let me show you a picture of me back in high school. They called us the freaks because we were not afraid to be ourselves. And I guess according to them, we were freaks, but where I have it in, I should have it in family. There it is, family photos. They called us the freaks, and I didn't think I was a freak or nothing, but I didn't care that they called us freaks. So I thought it was cool. Most of them were the jocks or the preps, right? Let's see. I got to find me and my mom picture here. All right. Well, here's one. That's my grandma in the background there. I was just about 17 or so there. That's 17-year-old Laz. I got a keyboard, one of those keyboard neckties, right? See that? And one of those skinny leather ones too. That was the thing back then in the 80s. That's my grandmother there. She was my champion. My mom's my champion too, but she was definitely my champion. Yeah. Let's see if I could find it. Where is it? I'll find it here. And there's the dorky picture of me when I was like, I don't know, me and my sister playing mini golf. I'm wearing a MASH shirt. It's before I grew my hair long. All right, hold on. I'll find it. Give me a second. It's going to be here somewhere. A lot of photos. It's probably at the very bottom. I wish you can actually categorize them in the album, in a certain section of the album, but I guess I got this family album here. A lot of photos. Okay, I started to grow my hair out here. That's my sister Monica again. We were up at our cabin in Black Hawk, Colorado, with 22 rifle. All right, where is it? There's my rock and roll drummer, Sister Monica. Oops, let me close that. Metal Monica, I call her. That's so blurry. There it is. Yeah, it's not the best picture of her, but she's so cool. She's the coolest. All right, where is it? Where is it? It's got to be here somewhere. Oh my God, this is taking forever. How many pictures do I have? Thousands. This is nuts. It better be here. Can't seem to find it. Oh, this is me and my dad. One of his last visits. One of my last visits with my dad before he passed away. Yeah, he loved it when I was down there with, I'm wearing the same shirt. My buddy Brent, Octopus Ears, General Admission, Magic Man, as he's back to being known for. All right, there we are. There it is. This is a blurry, this is a photo of a photo from way back when, but this is probably 1983. As I know from that Hobie shirt that I'm wearing. So that's me back then, right? So there you go. So they called us the freaks. We called some of them the jocks. I was friends with jocks and other freaks and preps. We were friends with everybody. I never not had friends in every group, because I love people. What is it about people that I love? I love them. They're just great. So Ozzy is one of those people that I love. He's an amazing character. Has gone through quite a bit in his life, and music has been one of those things that definitely saved his life more than once, right? So that's what this show's all about, right? Music as therapy. Music is therapy. Go out there and do some music, play some music, get some music therapy for yourself, and don't forget, it is an actual mental health care. You can get music therapy as a form of care now, but definitely share it with others and share this channel. Share this, please, please, please share this channel and share this show. I'm trying to. This is really the main show. There's so many gear shows and demo people out there. It's so serious. I think sometimes too serious. That's what I love about Johnny's show. He doesn't take it too seriously, So it's always a bit of a laughter and joking in the background because music is supposed to be fun, right? And oh, I look like Tommy Shaw. Thanks, man. I'll take that all day long. I love Tommy Shaw. As a matter of fact, I saw the Styx band again right around my birthday. Again, they came into town. It was an awesome show. Yeah. So right on, you guys. So I should have not been such a and I should have just went for it because there was a moment in my life where I thought, okay, either I'm going to go to LA in 1984, 85 and have a run at this, or just go to work at the company family business and go to college and study music and business. And I opted for the second one because of the family turmoil, my parents having been divorced and everything I was going through because of that. I was really missing that family connection and connection with my community that I had growing up when we lived in Colorado. So I stuck with that. And I had some really good friends and we were going to start a band and stuff. And so I was sticking with that. I cut my hair short, blah, blah, blah. And bottom line is I kind of stepped away from the hair metal scene thing and got more into alt rock kind of pop kind of stuff that I also enjoyed listening to and creating and doing. Back then when I was playing some guitar, I always tried to envision myself influenced by these three players that were a big influence on me: Randy Rhoads, Steve Stevens, and The Edge. When somebody asked me, what's your style like? And I'd say, well, my style, what I would like it to be, or I'd want it to be, would be a combination of these three guys. Because I love how they play and the music that they create. And if I were to be a music, if I'd ever go far in music, those three influences would probably be very heavily influencing my guitar playing style. And then when it comes to keyboards, it's everyone from Billy Joel to the Beatles to, to Styx, for example, right? Bands like that, Deep Purple, things like that. I love that kind of stuff. So until next time, you guys, check me out on Thursday nights on the Gear and Demo Show. I'll continue the Jeff Beck guitar build. That's over there. I'll probably demo this a little bit because I'll have it hooked up, right? The Rollees Wave 2 keyboard. Look at that thing. That's a keyboard. Wait till you see what this can do. It's crazy cool. And I'm looking forward to finally hooking it up after having it in studio and hooked up for like 6 months. I have a lot of patience for these things, I guess. It is a matter of priorities and making time for stuff, right? So yeah, so Sharon saved Ozzy too. That's right. And then she drove him like a workhorse. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like watch some of those videos, and I think it's not so much that she drove him to work so hard. I think that was Ozzy's nature. And I think she knew that that's the one thing that's going to always save him. So thanks for joining. Definitely subscribe, Professor of Psychedelic Studies. I will definitely check your channel out if you're doing any channel related stuff, right? Yeah, and peace indeed. Take care, everybody. And until next time, you guys, be good or be good at it. Don't forget, the secret to tone is in your mind, but the feel comes from your heart. Put it together with friends and musical instruments and rock on. All right. Until then.